So I'm very pleased to welcome our panel here today. We've got three people working in different parts of the sector and with different expertise, and I'm going to turn to each one and ask them to introduce themselves. So last but not least then, Daniel.
Hi everyone, I'm Dan. I'm a digital practice advisor at Nottingham Trent University. In a very small nutshell, I identify and analyse digital practice and capability needs, but also that involves learning design and coaching as well. I'm soon to be an external quality assurer for the essential digital skills qualifications with my awarding body Ascentis, and some of the involvement, I reviewed ETF's EDS modules and the accompanying, I reviewed the accompanying preparation for life and work EDS guide.
We've got three key questions which we're going to look at. Our first question, digital skills are needed for many aspects of everyday life, and the majority of jobs expect at least basic digital skills. What are the benefits for learners of the Essential Digital Skills course, EDSQ, or for life and work? Daniel, would you like to start us off?
Of course, yes. So what I like about EDS is that I find the general learning outcomes are well aligned to living, working and learning. And I feel that they address the real world digital literacies, which allow individuals to thrive and survive in what is now a fully digital world. They don't just address the importance of digital, but the understanding of the why and the purpose of digital, and developing practical skills in being effective in the basics of digital and online, whether that is for supporting lifestyle circumstances, developing employability prospects, or accessing and participating in online learning. I truly believe that they will enable and empower digital confidence and competence in adult learners.
Great, thank you. It's really interesting to hear the kind of the real life theme coming through there, and I think Daniel mentioned it. And when the framework and the standards were put together, real life was actually a bit different, but the real life tasks that you've described for your learners there, are what we're all facing today. So yeah. Thank you. Okay, I think I'm going to move on to our second question. So, slightly different focus for question 2. Teaching practitioners in all parts of the sector need access to tailored CPD to build their own digital skills and a digital pedagogy. How can CPD be approached to upskill practitioners? How can we support staff to adapt to teaching online? So I'd like to ask Daniel to answer that question first, please.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so just focusing on the synchronous and asynchronous aspects and potential tools and frameworks that can support that, and putting my learn technologist hat on for this one. Okay, so yeah, it's such a big topic, this one. So yeah, I'm just going to focus on the more so like the learning design aspects of it. So the biggest issue really when we're coming to like designing both fully online and blended programs is that sometimes we can fall in the trap of like replicating face-to-face delivery and trying to make that happen online, and that's not always the case because it doesn't particularly translate well what you want to do in a face-to-face situation. When you move into some sort of online platform, you just have to like reimagine it a little bit, or just just try and be a little bit more creative and give it a bit of a redesign as well. So luckily, I say luckily, but it's quite interesting that it's just like a new digital qualification, but it's about digital and it's through digital, which lends itself more to experiential sort of approaches, more hands-on aspects to the delivery. So in this sense, what Emma was mentioning a bit earlier on about the asynchronous based tasks, I think they will particularly lend themselves well in this situation. So if we're looking at focusing on the preparation for life and work pathway specifically, that in itself would lend itself well for more project-based learning and scaffolded tasks, both online and offline. So you not to forget about the offline element, and where learners can potentially be learning generally offline. Any opportunities where naturally occurring learning evidence can be collected through that process as well. So okay, so to get off to the right start, as I say, with like designing for digital and online, I would recommend considering it and thinking about it at the outset. So designing for digital within your scheme of works and your general course planning, because it gives you more flexibility that way to should any of the like pandemics or situations like that happen, you've got more scope and like I say general like flexibility to move your delivery and your content in various ways. But I do realise that it's digital, and just like the nature of qualification, that depends on how confident and competent you are, your own digital abilities. So it's highly important that it's tutors and assessors that continue to invest in your own personal digital skills development. But yeah, generally to like achieve this, I tend to use like a combination of approaches when it comes to online course design or course design in general. So I'm just going to mention a couple of like frameworks that would be particularly useful, and I'm pretty sure that the links will get sent out alongside this recording as well. So to help create like a bit of a blueprint for online program, like I said. I recommend Carpe Diem by Gilly Salmon, and that's by nature it's a collaborative process where it's multidisciplinary in the sense it brings not just like people like myself, but tutors and other people across the organisation, like librarians for example, and the IT department, and just various other roles that contribute to that to the success of that program. So the link will get shared out about that. And I'm missing a lot of steps out here because it's such a big topic and process. But what it allows you to do as well is it's got a strong focus on the audience. It's like the learning persona. That's particularly, especially looking at on this pathway, preparation for life and work. We can really understand who are the learners coming to the program. You can best design those learning activities as well as the teaching throughout that entire program. And it just allows you to address any educational problems and issues that might arise throughout that, and it can be creative and about solution development throughout. Carpe Diem. So some of the things I included there is dialogues individually, but what that allows you to do is to break down your course or your lesson into as I said there, 6 learning types which are typical in an educational setting.
I think we've got a little bit of interference from Daniel there, unfortunately. We've got him back.
Hello.
Can you hear us, Daniel?
Sorry, I think I lost connection. I lost connection.
Just for a little while. I think you were just moving on to talk about something beyond Carpe Diem when we lost you.
All right, sorry, must be connection. I would recommend Diana Laurela's 6 learning types, and what that allows you to do is just break your course or your lessons into these 6 learning type chunks, which allows you to like, give a specific focus of designing activities around those like learning type. Like I said, unfortunately I've not got the time to go through those in detail, but allows you to create what's called an invitation, to structure a purpose, alignment, and engagement of online activities. So I would recommend looking at that one as well afterwards. As well as it scaffolds the confidence and competence of learners learning online as well. You can potentially use that for yourself to increase your confidence of teaching and as well as learning online for yourself. Okay, so just coming back to the synchronous and asynchronous elements then. It's good to ask yourself at this point, what is the benefits of doing synchronous, which is obviously live, same place at the same time, and asynchronous, which might be the same place but different times. So it's looking at what's the benefit of one over the other or combination of both. because you don't want to fall into the trap of like doing constant Zooms or Microsoft Team breakouts or death by them. Yeah, you need to have like a variety of learning types for your online programs. So moving on to some tools then to support synchronous. So it depends on what organisation you are. Like Emma mentioned earlier on about having G Suite as the main platform, or it could be Microsoft. But regardless, I would recommend using supported tools and systems you've got in your organisation, because if you do fall into any issues or problems, you need some support there, organisational level. But typically for synchronous tools, I would recommend, I'm not a user of the G Suite, but I know that it's a good platform to to deliver online teaching, synchronous teaching, shall I say, with Microsoft Teams and all-in-one as well. You can achieve that, and it just gives you all the right functionality to deliver, teach, when you can check engagement and understanding through there as well. So asynchronous tools, I would recommend or highly recommend H5P, but just a word of caution on that one. There's a free site to it, but I would recommend creating content on there and hosting it. Do ask your organisation first if you've got access to it, and see if you can get the permissions to use it. But basically that allows you to create self-directed e-learning content and materials with rich content types. So I would recommend that. But then think about, again, the activity side of stuff, where you can potentially create collaborative online activities where people come together to brainstorm, stuff like Padlet, which you might be familiar with or heard of. And again, you've got like collaborative documents like Microsoft or Google within there. Again, it doesn't always have to be live. And you still got like your virtual learning environment. There's some really good functionality there that you can create learning activities and assessments within there. So just to round off, and if you are privileged to have a learning technologist or a learning designer of some kind in your organisation, I would recommend reaching out to them, because they will help you to think about all these elements that I've just mentioned. So it's worth just reaching out to those, or roles are very much like those in the organisation. And all the things I've just mentioned as well do feature in my book, which is Learn Technology Handbook for FE Teachers and Assessors. But do feel free to reach out to me as well for the community of practice, or my social media networks like LinkedIn and Twitter to talk about those in more context. So pass on to Jackie next. Yeah,
thanks very much, Daniel. Gosh, that was a lot of information, well packed up, and you're quite right. Those links are on the community of practice. I'm sure lots of people want to follow up with the challenges that we have at the minute in terms of learning design. Thank you, everybody, for contributing today. I want to say a big thank you to our panelists for joining us. And just before we end, perhaps I could ask each of you to just say a final word. So, Daniel, would you like to start with your final thoughts?
Of course, yes. So I gave, me personally, I gave a lot of information earlier on. So I would recommend, just start small. Do investigate those as further reading. Start small, and it's about what's comfortable for yourself, in your pedagogy and your learners. And just say, don't aim for everything to be perfect. Qualification is new, and technologies come out all the time as well. So just don't aim for this to be completely perfect. Just see it as the first iteration, just aim for good and not perfect, and be kind to yourselves as well, because we're in strange times right now. So I'll just end it on that.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, it's been really, really interesting, and also great to hear such incredibly positive stories, and a really good approach, I think, to both organising and designing the learning that we're offering to learners, but also the kind of experiences that learners have had, where you've been delivering this very new qualification. It's been fascinating. Dawn, is there anything you want to add, or anything that we need to?
No, I thought it was a fantastic session. Lots of good tips in there, and I really just recommend that people look at our links document on the community of practice to follow up. There was a lot packed in here, and it's a lot to take away and get up to speed with. But thank you very much to everybody that's taken part today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
just
you.
to say that this is the first of a series of events in this Preparation for Life and Work pathway, and there are further events to come on the Education and Training Foundation website if you have a look there. Thanks once more to all our panel members today, and goodbye.